Rav Judah, thank you very much. B'shus Rav Judah, b'shus Rabbi Willig. To know, I remember a few months ago we were talking, and this whole year, it's been a pretty intense year, but Baruch Hashem, a lot of bracha within the challenging times. We're talking about leaving Eretz Yisrael. It's not simple to leave Eretz Yisrael, especially at times when one has family members, children who are serving, who are having the zchus to serve in the IDF. But we said, Kaylee and Hask, I mean, each in their own way. It's not normal chutz la'aretz. Right? There's something special. Let's talk just about Hask right now. It's an extension. Because the extension of the Mekomos HaKadoshim, maybe it's somewhere in between chutz la'aretz and Eretz Yisrael, but it's chutz to be here in this Makom HaKadosh. And again, I couldn't make it earlier. I was supposed to be here the first week, but I had to run back to be with my father on his last day. And just got up from Shloshim about a week ago, but he was a big camp person as well. He loved camp. He was the camp doctor in Camp Hailai and Camp Morasha, and he loved camp. So he loved giving shiurim in camps. So thinking about him also at this time, and of course a shout out to his grandson who is working in camp as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. In Yana Diyom, I think every year I come, I start off with the Zohar by way of introduction. The Zohar tells us that there are 12 months in the year. 6 of them were given to Am Yisrael, and 6 of them were given to the Satan. Nisan, Iyar, and Sivan were given to Bnei Yisrael. That's Pesach, that's Shavuos. Tammuz, Av, Elul were given to the Satan. Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev were given to Bnei Yisrael. Tishrei, months of Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot. Tevei, Shvat, Adar were given to the Satan. We took back Adar through the Purim story. We took back Elul through Tshuva. Mashiach's going to come when we take back the other 4 months. In the heart of the summer and the heart of the winter. Tammuz and Av, Teves and Shvat. So we're in Av. We still had a couple of weeks. We just started Av. Av is an intense month, but it's also Av. We could get close to our Father in this month. So let's do what we can to try to be inspired to take back Av and take that one step towards Geula, which is tonight's topic, in fact. And we're just going to deal with one question. One question, 3 approaches of the Mefarshim to that question. The Yerushalmi tells us, source number 1, those who have the sheets, Rabbi Chia Rabba of Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafta have a mahalchin ba'da bikas Arabel. If anybody's been up north, there is a cliff known as the Arabel. It's a great hike to do. You look, it's a mountain that's not a normal mountain with one side and the other side. It kind of like ends. You go and it overlooks the Kinneret. It's a beautiful, beautiful tiyul. So, 2 of the great Rabbanan of the Yerushalmi were walking Bekritsta, right at the day started. Right, it was night and they were walking. Just the first light. Viroa yelas hashachar shebaka ora. They saw the morning light. They saw all of a sudden it was getting light. And Rabbi Chia Rabba l'Shimon ben Chalafta bei Rebbe. Rabbi Chia Rabba turns to his friend, and instead of saying, "What an amazing sunrise! What an amazing! I could finally see." What does he say? He has halachic glasses on. Kachi gulas and shal Yisrael. You see how it's getting light, and it's little by little by little. It doesn't just go boom, the light's on. No, slowly it gets light and lighter and lighter. That's how the geula of the Jewish people is going to come. Redemption is not going to come in one fell boom. It's going to be a process. B'tchila, here's the words. Kima. Little by little. Kol mashi hi oleches, hi rabba v'holeches. Little by little, that's what the Yerushalmi says. My taima, and he quotes a pasuk, Yeshiv b'choshech Hashem orli, Hashem makes it light. And he says, where else do we see such a story? It happened once before, Geula, in the Purim story, says the Yerushalmi. Kach, did it have to happen overnight? All of a sudden Hashem says, okay, you're saved? No. It took a while. We had to fast for 3 days. We had to get rid of Haman. We had to defend ourselves months later. It was a process. Kachi gulasan shel Yisrael. Mordechai Yoshi b'shar HaMelech, v'yikach Haman es alvush vel sasus, v'chulu, and finally, only at the end, la'yehudim ha'isa'ora v'simcha. When do I have till, by the way? Doesn't matter, there's no deadline? Okay. Okay, but when he gives Kriyash Mashal Shachris. Okay. So the Geula is little by little. The Zohar also, in source number 2, same idea. Inun Yisrael bezimna de kuchabrichu yokimlan. At the moment that Hashem decides, the yafaglan min galusa, and He's going to redeem us from the exile. Kiden yiftach lon pischat nahora dakik zeir. He's going to open up. It's like opening up a shade. A little bit light's going to come in. Ulabasar pischa achrina, and afterwards a bigger light. That's how the Geula is going to happen, and that's what we see over the past thousands, at least hundreds, if not tens of years. And our question for tonight is, why does it have to be this way? Why can't Hashem just say, it's time? That's going to be the final moment. The last step, it's going to be boom, as Malachi describes, pitom. But until we get there, it's a long process. Why? Why does it have to take so long? Why does it have to be so drawn out? And this image is even reflected in one description in the Navi Zechariah. Navi Zechariah tells us in source number 3, Mashiach is described as an ani v'rochev ala chamor. Ani, a poor person, v'rochev ala chamor, and riding on a donkey. If you had to describe Mashiach coming in and flying in from the countryside, I would think he'd be riding on a stallion, a horse, some fancy type of horse. I'm here. A donkey? You ever had a donkey? It's not the most glamorous animal. Why is Mashiach described as ani v'rochev ala chamor, and explains the Chafetz Chaim and others? Because you ever ride a donkey? You push the donkey takes 2 steps and then stops. And then goes sideways. And then sits down. And then you take 2 more steps and then it goes backwards. Ani v'rochev ala chamor. Because that's Geula. Geula is riding on a donkey. You feel it, you're going, you're heading in the right direction, and then you feel you're heading in the wrong direction. The Geula is not going to be like it was in Mitzrayim, as is described in Sefer Shmos, b'chipazon. Quickly. Yeshayahu Hanavi says explicitly, source 5, Ki lo b'chipazon teitzeyu. It's not going to be chipazon. It's not going to be like it was, make sure you have your shoes on and your walking sticks ready, and your belt's on, because right when I say you're going to leave, lo b'chipazon teitzeyu, it's not going to be that. And the question is, why not? And lest we think this is a new question, all of a sudden we're feeling it. We just had a shir inside about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu himself asked this question. He asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why does it have to take so long? Why is the Geula as it is? Where did he ask that question? The first time he spoke to Hashem. Parsha Shmos. We know HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to Moshe at the burning bush by the snap. Turn the page. And Moshe Rabbeinu does not want to go. And he says, no, they don't deserve it. I have a speech impediment. All the different excuses. And what does Moshe say? Shlach na biyad tishlach. Let somebody else go. Let somebody else take him out of Mitzrayim. Who's he referring to? Who's the other person? Shlach na biyad tishlach. So Rashi quotes 2 pshatim. Number 1, source 9. Biyad mishat haragil l'shloach v'hu Aaron. Come on, God. Hashem, Aaron's been there this whole time. I was away in Midyan. He's my older brother. He was prophesizing before I was born. And he was 3. Aaron, let Aaron take him out. What? He's my older brother. 1. Davar acher, other pshat, says Rashi. Biyad acher shetirtza l'shloach. Shein sofi la'achnisam la'aretz. Let the person who's going to finish the job take them. Yeshua ben Nun. Let somebody else. Why me? But there's a third pshat. The Pirkei Rabbi Elazar, one of the earliest books of Torah Shabbal Peh that we have, one of the Midrashim. Source number 10. Shlach na biyad tishlach, send Eliyahu Hanavi. Skip to the final stage. Why do we have to go through the whole process of Galus and Geula and Galus and Geula? Why? Skip to Eliyahu, Ribon kol olamim, Shlach na biyad tishlach biyad osu ha'isha ta'asid l'shloach, hinei anochi sholech lechem. The last prophecy that we heard as a nation was the end of Malachi. Hinei anochi sholech lechem is Eliyahu Hanavi. We're waiting for him to come. Skip to him, says Moshe. Why do we have to go such a long process? Just send Eliyahu Hanavi. So what's the answer? Why does it have to take this long? By the way, we know it's going to happen. Anachnu ma'aminim be'emuna shlema. V'haya Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz. Anachnu denatzeach, we know that as a fact. We just don't know how long. And that's our question. Why? Why? We believe and we know. And we should also recognize that all of our discussion tonight is hopefully going to give us a little bit of what to answer after 120. The Gemara tells us in Masechah Shabbos that we're going to be asked 6 questions. Not really questions. The Gemara doesn't say questions. The Gemara says, Omrim lo, which is, it'll be said, the video is going to be playing. We're not going to have to answer. Nasata v'natata be'emuna, were we honest in our dealings with each other? Okay, we were honest. Hopefully we could all answer positively to that one. Kavati itim Torah, did he set aside time for Torah? Hopefully this Beis Medrash is always hopping. Asakta b'pir Yevarivya, set aside time, invest in our children. Good. Sipisa Yeshua. Did you hope for the salvation? Did you yearn? Did you dream? Did you hope? And sometimes maybe we think everything is good and we're okay and there's nothing more. The past 10 months or so, it's been easier for us to answer this question. But did we think about it? Did we deepen our discussion of it? That's tonight. Tonight's about Tzipisa Yeshua. Tonight's about discussing and thinking and fulfilling our neshama with feelings of hope and emunah. 3 ideas, that's the shir. Message number 1, and it's all based on earlier Mefarshim. Message number 1, based on the Midrashim. Says the Medrash in Tehillim, says the Medrash Tanchuma, both, in source number 11. K'shetavo ha'geula b'masach, that's where it's underlined. Einon yecholin lispo Yeshua gedola. You know why it can't come at once? Because we wouldn't be able to handle it. Lefi shiba b'tzaras gedolos. We are so far and so distant from feeling HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We think about the Beis HaMikdash. Right, in a few days we're going to sit on the floor. Hopefully not, but if we do, it's so foreign to us to be inspired by watching Kohanim and Levim doing their avoda. Says the Medrash, because we're so distant, if Hashem would bring it in a moment, we wouldn't survive. Slowly, slowly. It's like a morning. It's like the morning. Imagine if Hashem created the world, and He could have done this. When it's daytime, it's like the light goes on. It's pitch black. Boom, it's light. That means lightning. All of a sudden. And then when it turns night, when's night tonight? Oh, 4:32. Boom! And it's pitch black. That's not so pleasant. Every time we see a sunrise or a sunset, we should say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is awesome. Slowly, slowly. Slowly. Those of you who live in Israel, and those of you who have been there, know there's something in Israel called trisim. I always tell my Talmidim, if you take a nap by the break in the afternoon, don't put down the trisim. Because nighttime, daytime, they're blackout shades. They're mamish, it's nighttime. So as a parent, I know sometimes, and maybe some of my children here could vouch, I try to get my children up, slowly and softly, and time to get up for minyan, time to wake up, and then it doesn't always work. Once in a while, it doesn't always work. So what does the parent do? Boom, you pull the trisim, and then whoa, it's pitch black, and then all of a sudden it's light. It's not pleasant. Hashem doesn't do that because it's shocking. In the spiritual realm, Hashem wants us to be able to handle it. And therefore it's little by little. And where do we see, where in history do we see the shock and that it can't be handled? Parshas Vayigash. We all read the story. Yosef and his brothers. Right? The brothers should have been onto something. Shimon's taken and he seats them in order and they all get together and all of a sudden Yosef says, Ani Yosef. 2 words. And the psukim say they were in shock. Whoa! They couldn't handle it. They couldn't talk. That's what the Medrash says, source 12. Tsev alaman mi Yosef. Shebishashin izvada la'achiv lachar kama shanim. Amar lemani Yosef, I'm your brother. V'lo yachlu echav la'nososo. Ki nivhalu. They were in shock. HaKadosh Baruch Hu alachas kama v'kama. Hashem's going to come and reveal, hi, it's me. how distant we are from recognizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the world wouldn't be able to handle it. Remember what happened at Har Sinai? Hashem talked to us, we died. He did Tchias HaMesim, he talked to us again, we died. Did Tchias HaMesim again, we said, Hashem, enough. Moshe, you talk to us. Because we can't handle it. Little by little. Little by little. Rahman al-Islam, we saw this in our generation. My father was in the Shoah, he was on the kinder transport, but you see stories, read stories about the liberation in 1945. Some of the prisoners are Acheinu B'nai Yisrael, who hadn't eaten in years. And some of the American soldiers gave them some chocolate bars. That's what they had in their pockets. And they died by eating the chocolate bars because their bodies weren't ready to handle it. The Ema Banim Smecha gives that mashal during World War II. Right? Somebody who's ill, anybody ever feel sick and they could barely eat? Here, have a steak and fries. Oh no, I'm so sick. If I eat that, because we're spiritually ill, we're distant. Hashem has to do it little by little. Bringing the Geula Kima Kima. And that's what's been happening for at least 150 years. Rav Druckmann, who has a whole sefer called Kima Kima, in source 14 writes, think about what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done since the 1850s. Source 14, Hadarga, little bit. Ta'alich ha'geula matchil mibachutz. Kima Kima nechas penima. First, you have Jews starting to come back with Talmidei Hagra. Slowly, you could have Mashiach without an infrastructure, without roads, without parking lots. Slowly, Kibbutz Galuyah starts, little by little. And then we start being able to observe the mitzvahs. And then we get a Jewish government. And then, little by little, Kadosh Baruch Hu knows that this is shlav achar shlav. I forgot to mention, middle of 1850s, the blossoms start again. That's a siman of Geula, the Gemara says in Masechah Sanhedrin. Nothing's going to grow until the Jews come back. And that's what we see. Nothing grew for 2,000 years almost, 1,800 years. This is Kima Kima. Little by little so we could handle it. And that's what we're seeing. Number 2, second of 3 ideas. Second idea is from the Maharal. Great Maharal Prague in his Sefer Netzach Yisrael. Source number 16. Right, all of his Svarim, all the Maharal Svarim are based on one pasuk. L'cha Hashem ha'gedula v'ha'gevura tiferes v'ha'netzach v'yahod. Right, he has Netzach Yisrael, he has Tiferes Yisrael. Right, that whole pasuk. Gevuras Hashem. Says the Maharal in Surah 16, dealing with this question: why was Mitzrayim boom, chipazon, and why is the future geula taking so long? And he said it's taking so long 500 years ago. Because the original geula from Mitzrayim was not eternal. And if you're not building something eternal, then the building isn't as important or as invested. Right? We were nigal from Mitzrayim, and we were in Eretz Yisrael, and then we were there for a couple hundred years, and then we built the Beis HaMikdash, and we went out. It wasn't permanent. It's like a lightning. Over, and that's it. But this geula that we're building now is an eternal one. It's going to be forever. The Beis HaMikdash is going to be a building that never is broken. You build something forever. You want something to last? It's got to take longer. Greater investment. The ultimate redemption that will be forever. We don't know what the word forever means, but it means forever. Rak tamid kayam. It can't be b'chipazon. Ki achipazon mari, do something quickly, that reflects it's not going to be eternal or strong. The more you prepare, the more you build, the more you invest, the better, the stronger, the more stable it's going to be. And we're creating something that's eternal. And says the Maharal, that's why it's taking so long. Even the world itself. Right, the Mishnah tells us in Pirkei Avos, on the next page, source 18. Basar ma'amaras nivra ha'olam. If you look in Bereshis, 9 times it says the word Vayomer. Vayomer, Vayomer, plus the word Bereshis, the Mishnah says, Hashem created the world with 10 utterances. Whatever that means, Hashem uttered. Why did Hashem have to do that? Just say, world. To teach us the world is going to be forever. So to build something for eternity, it takes time. Not that Hashem needed time, but He invested to teach us. To teach us, Rabbi Yosef Nechemi Kornitzer, the last Rav in Krakow, says, we have to recognize that things take time to develop, and you learn that from the world. Nothing meaningful and everlasting happens overnight. You want something to last? You want something to be forever, to be long? We want overnight results. But it doesn't always happen that way. About 10 years ago, I'll read it from here because I think it's more real. It's saved on my phone. This guy saved on my phone as... One second. Shas guy. That's his name. So when did this conversation happen? 2018. Okay. Hi, Rabbi Rosner. Is this Rabbi Rosner? Yes. Hi. You don't know who I am. I know it's weird that I'm contacting you from the other side of the world, but I think you could help me. I listened to all your shiurim, and I think you'll be able to help me. What's your issue? Covering ground. I just can't. It's depressing. I managed only to learn 6 blot in the whole month of Elul. It's not that I don't learn. I learn more than 12 hours a day. I'm also, Baruch Hashem, very good in shiurim. That's not covering ground. We don't measure growth based on dafim, but on effort and work. If you work hard and do your best, then that's covering ground. Rav Moshe says, at any extended limit, even one daf you can make a siyum on. There's no inyan in knowing Shas. Take it day by day. That's all you need to do. How old are you? 21. Interesting, he says. Based on my cheshbon, I'm going to finish Shas when I'm 112 years old. Quite depressing. There's no chiyuv to know Shas. Just do your best. That's all Hashem wants. And it's the Yetzer Hara to have these other thoughts. Hashem doesn't want you to be upset. I understand what the Rav is saying, but perhaps everybody else seems to be managing, and I'm only doing 6 stuff. Whoever is telling you that you need to cover more ground is wrong. There are different styles, different goals. You need to speak to a mashgiach that understands your strengths. I'm sorry, I go to a yeshiva without a mashgiach. I said, that's a problem. Anyway, and he continues. I go to one of the better yeshivas in America. He wanted overnight results. Right? He wanted quick fix. But that's not how things work in life. You want something eternal. You want something to last. It takes time. And we're building, through our blood, sweat, and tears, we're building something eternal. So number 1 is not to shock us. Number 2, it's to build something eternal. And now we get to the third and the final approach. And that's from the Ramchal. The Ramchal and Das Tfunos. Source 22. Says the Ramchal, again, one of his less known, he's most famous for the Mesilas Yesharim and for Derech Hashem. Says the Ramchal, Michok HaTov Lehetiv, Hashem is the ultimate good. Hashem created the world in order to do good and to give good. Hashem doesn't need us. Why did He create the world? In order to allow us to exist, to be good to us. Says the Ramchal, Va'amnam, where it's underlined, Kidei shetia ha'hatava hatava shlema. The greatest good that Hashem could give us is to allow us to be partners in the continued building and creation and goal-reaching of the world. Yada b'chachmaso hanizgava. Hashem knew in His ultimate wisdom, Sheroi sheyu hamakablamosa. Those that accept from Him shouldn't just be acceptors if He gives us the opportunity to earn it. So then that will make us feel and be his partners and feel so good. We'll have a kinyan on that good. Remember what the mun is called? The mun in Kabbalistic terms is called Nahama de Kisufa, the bread of embarrassment. Why? Because it's just given to us on a silver platter. We didn't earn it. We left Mitzrayim and it's just given to us. Allowing the recipient of the goodness to take part and earn, that's the greatest good that the giver could give. And we learn that as young boys from a very, very young age. The Medrash tells us in the Medrash Tanchuma that Turnus Rufus Arasha asked Rabbi Akiva, I have a kasha. Hashem creates little babies, and when they're born, it's amazing. From nothing, from a little drop, and all of a sudden, lungs and a heart and liver and kidneys and eyes and ears. Unbelievable. Hashem did everything 99%. And when we come out, there's this little extra piece of skin that you got to cut off. Why didn't Hashem just finish the job? He did everything. And there's a little bit left over. Why didn't he finish the job? Turn to Surah Rasha. Hashem's going to ask you to cut off that piece anyway. Why aren't we just born circumcised? Mahul. Why? Says Rabbi Akiva, because the point is Hashem does so much for us, but then he says, you need to finish the job. You need to partner with me. You need to share the creative act with me and self-perfect yourself. And the Sefer HaChinuch in the Mitzvah Bris Milah says, and just like we learned from the Mitzvah Bris Milah that we could self-perfect our physical selves, the message is that we could self-perfect our spiritual selves as well. Hashem wants the completion to be by man. He didn't create us perfect from birth. Lermoz will have to teach us. Just like we perfect our physical, we're able to self-perfect our spiritual bodies as well. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us and needs us to believe that we could be his partners. And he allows us to take part of the process. Rabbi Tzadok writes, I don't know too many Rabbi Tzadoks. I feel more halacha b'fnei Rabo. I'm here in Rav Judah's court, but I know like one or two. But Rabbi Tzadok says here in Sidkas HaTzadik, Amar le Kishem, source 25. Kishem shetzarech ha'adam lahamin b'Hashem yisparach. Just like there's a mitzvah to believe in Hashem, there's a mitzvah to believe in yourself. Kach tzarech acher kach lahamin ba'atzmo. Vayaminu b'Hashem uveMoshe avdo. When we say that every morning, they believed in Moshe, the Moshe inside each and every one of us. They believed. Says Rabbi Tzadok, we have to. Hashem has a business, has something for us to do. I'm not a nothing worker that accomplishes nothingness. Like an animal. An animal is born and die. No, Hashem is directly connected to us. Hashem needs us to partner with him. The Meshech Chochmah says, even Bizman Gulas Mitzrayim, Hashem did everything. He did the Makas and Makas Bechoros, and he took us out of Mitzrayim. But then they reached a stage at Kriyas Yamsuf. They reached a stage where the Mitzrayim were behind us, the water's in front of us, and Hashem finally says, now it's up to you. You got to take that step. You have to go into the water. I'm not doing it for you. I need you to partner with me because that's what's good for you. Says the Meshech Chochmah. Source 26 where it's underlined. Bayam tziva HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe sheyisa chareya Moshe. You go around, you wait for them to go. Vehema be'emunah sambo yelchu b'toch hayam. And in Schus that Nesiya, we're going to earn it. We're going to earn it. And that's what Kima allows. Because if Hashem would just bring Mashiach in a moment, forevermore, we would be indebted. We would just be receivers. Hashem does it little by little to allow us to take part in the process, to team up with him. It's an amazing thought that I saw this year. I mentioned this back in Shabbos Hagadol. We know Pesach is all about fours. There are many fours. We're going to skip 2 sources now. We're going to go to 28. There are 4 sons. There are 4 questions. There are 4 Lashonos of Geula. We know in Parshas Va'era. You have them there in source 28. There's many 4s. There's even a part of the Seder that many of us don't appreciate. The middle of Magid, we quote 4 psukim from Parshas Kisavo, what's called Mikra Bikurim. When we go to the Beis HaMikdash and we give a little short Jewish history lesson, and we quote 4 psukim, and the whole middle section of Magid, usually kind of like by Baruch HaMakom, we've said all of our divrei Torah, and then we got to move, we're going to hit Chatzos, okay, meet you at Dayenu. It's kind of like the Makos. But, that middle part is important. And it's all about darshaning 4 psukim in Kisavo. You have the psukim there in source 29. Vayareyu osanu, vanitzach al Hashem alav se, vayishma Hashem es koleinu. We darshan those 4 psukim. So we have 4 kosos and 4 lashonos of Geula. But if you look in some Rishonim, the Rif quotes it. They had another girsa, another version of the Gemara, 5 cups. Not 4, 5. A 5th cup. Rabbi Tarfon had a 5th cup. Source 30, the Rif quotes the Gemara, which we don't have. Tana Rabbanan, Chamishi Omer Lav Hala Gadol. And the Rambam says, you know what? If you want to, you could do it. If you want to? Do we have to do it? Do we not have to do it? The Rambam says, 4 cups you got to do. 5th one, your choice. My choice. And you know what we do? Pshara, we compromise. We pour it, we don't drink it. Kosh Shel Eliyahu. Right, that's the 5th cup. Some say, you know why it's called Eliyahu? Because when Mashiach comes, Eliyahu Navi will tell us whether we really need it or not. Kosh Shel Eliyahu. But that's the 5th cup. What do you mean 5th cup? There's 4 cups. 5th cup? Aren't the kosos keneged the 4 lashonos of Geula? Ooh. Look back at Va'era. There's a 5th lashon that we never noticed before. Whoa! I never saw that one. There's a 5th cup. There's a 5th verb, lashon of Geula, and guess what? There's a 5th pasuk in Kisavo. There's a 5th pasuk in Mikra Bikurim, source 29, pasuk Tes, which we don't mention in the Haggadah, just like we don't mention the 5th lashon. So what's going on here? There's a 5th one, but it's only if you want to. It's not obligatory. Says Rav Gorin, the first chief rabbi of the Tzava, later chief rabbi of the state of Israel. Says Rav Gorin in source 32. The first 4 stages of Geula, those 4 are what Hashem did for us. And it's what he did it. He took us out of Mitzrayim. He did the Makos. And we are obligated to drink a cup of wine to remember the chasadim that Hashem did for us. It's all Him, and we drink. We have a chiyuv to drink in order to remember what He did for us. The 5th cup is not like that. Look at the 5th lashon in Va'era and the 5th pasuk in Kisava. What do they both talk about? Going into Eretz Yisrael. That's the 5th. That's not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for us, says Rav Gorin. The 5th cup is where Hashem says, I need you to partner with me. Eretz Yisrael is not about taking it on a silver platter. What does Rav Shimon Bar Yochai say? First statement in Shas, Eretz Yisrael is one of the Matana Tovas, Niknas B'Yisurin. Nitna B'Yisurin. It was given to us with pain, with difficulty. But says Rav Gorin, that's what, we don't drink a cup. Hashem, thank you. What do you mean, thank you? Yoshua ben Nun had to conquer the 31 kings when he went in. Look what Rav Gorin says in 32. Bitsua lo hayakula b'dei shamayim. Elamutelas chova u'mitzvah. It's a choice. What do you mean a choice? I'm waiting for you, Jewish people, to partner with me, to conquer, to go into Eretz Yisrael. Limsaras nafsho al kibash aretz v'shechrua biyad akum. And obviously what Rav Gorin wrote years ago in his classic, he was an amazing chadshan in Psak. He says, nowadays we have to drink the 5th cup. So even if we don't paskin that way, the message is clear. Because the fifth cup is about partnering with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what He allows us to do throughout history in terms of Eretz Yisrael. There's never been a time in 2,000 years that we have been given the zchus to partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 1948, we were able to partner, but probably not since David HaMelech, not by his Sheni, by his Rishon. We haven't been able to partner with him like we have partnered with him in the past 10 months. And as Rav Judah started off before, our chayalim feel it, and they feel the achrayus on their shoulders, and they feel the partnership. I tell you, I grew up in America. I made Aliyah when I was already an adult, hopefully an adult. But I'm telling you that Simchas Torah months ago, and again, anybody who was there felt it, when I had to put my two boys in two different cars and send them that afternoon to different places, and I heard my son-in-law went from up north. We were the ones that were anxious, the ones that were left back. But they felt it. This is my achrayus, this is my zchus to partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be able to bring the geula as long as it takes. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And it's not just the soldiers. What's called the chazits, the ones in front. It's the oref too, the ones in the back. I've quoted this story because I was very inspired by it. Somebody in my shul has a business partner who owns many of the aroma stores. Anybody been to Israel before? No aroma? So the owner of Aroma, he owns a few of them, including the one in Beit Shemesh. It's a Milchik restaurant. Right on October 8th, October 9th, he decided, I got to do something. So he made Aroma Beit Shemesh Sandwich Central. Right? So any of you who are many of the Midrashot and many of the visitors to Israel this year, they went to Aroma. Why? Because he closed it as a store. They made sandwiches. 10,000 sandwiches a day. 10,000 sandwiches a day. Yariv Shefa was his name, was the owner. And there was, I did it twice. Right? You have tuna and eggs, and it's like this whole assembly line, and kids outside writing notes, all for the Chayalim. And they said he was in touch. He hired the drivers to take it to the north, to the south. They didn't just send. They had to know exactly where the destination was going. This store gave thousands and thousands of hours. There were seniors in my community that went there every day from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. It gave them something to do, to feel that they were giving. And obviously, the soldiers that ate the sandwiches. So somebody in my shul is business partner with him. He collected thousands of shekel in order to, you know how much money it is? He got the bread, and he got the food, and he got everything. So about a month in, this guy in my shul, I'm sure many of you have heard of him, Simi Zimbalist, he said he collected all his money. He says he went to Yariv and says, Yariv, I have all of these donations for you. Where should I deposit it? He says, what? He says, what do you mean? He said, no, I collected all this money. He says, I'm not taking a shekel. This is my mitzvah. Someone who's not yet Shomer Shabbos. This is my contribution to the effort. Because he felt and he realized this was his chance to partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what he did, and he helped so many others partner. So why is it taking so long? Number one, because if it would be quick, we would be in shock, we wouldn't be able to handle it. Like turning on the light in a dark room. Hashem has chesed, and He does it little by little. Number two, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that something permanent is being created. And that takes time. Because eternity is a long time. And everything we're building today is eternal. And number three, the third and final idea, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give us the opportunity to be part of the process. To be able to say, we. I heard a couple of weeks ago, again, maybe it's so simple, but it hit me. I'm like, wow. I was listening to a shir by Rav Rimon, and Rav Rimon said, if Hashem would give me the choice, let's say before He created the world, Hashem would ask me, Rav Rimon, which generation do you want to live in? You could choose any generation in history. You could be. I could zap you into the Rambam. I could zap you into David HaMelech. I could zap you into any. Which generation would you choose? Says Rabbi Rimon, there's no Shaila. I would choose this one. Because this is the one that we're getting close. This is the one that we feel. We feel the pangs of Geula. We feel the Chevlei Leda. This generation. We have to recognize the schus. We have to keep positive and keep big picture. Somebody once came to the Baal Shem Tov and said, Rebbe, I want to see Eliyahu HaNavi. I know all these stories about Eliyahu HaNavi. I read the Gemara. I want to see Eliyahu HaNavi. So the Baal Shem Tov says, okay, go to the next town. Go to the next town and for Shabbos and you'll see Eliyahu HaNavi. He's fine. It's okay. I don't want to go empty-handed. So before Shabbos, he bought a big fruit platter. Guess Eliyahu HaNavi. So he goes to the next town for Shabbos. He goes into shul. He says, which of these he looks at the Mizrach wall. Which one? He's like, davens, and comes to the end of davening. He's waiting for somebody to come over to him. He's waiting and waiting. Everybody walks out. The Shamash says, you need something? You need a place for Shabbos? No, I'm good. I got to lock up. Okay, he locks up. Guy goes out. He has this big fruit platter. He says, what am I supposed to do with this? Okay, I got to go somewhere for Shabbos. He goes to there's a house next to the shul a couple of yards away. He knocks on the door. This woman, this almana, answers and says, yes, could I help you? He says, I was supposed to be somewhere for Shabbos and I have all this fruit. And she's like, oh, come in. It's fine. Come in. We'll give you a place. It's okay. Bunch of kids. Okay. Goes back at the Shabbos and says, Rebbe, did I miss him? He said, no. Next Shabbos. Next Shabbos. He's like, okay, don't ask kashas from the best. So he goes next Shabbos. He buys the big fruit platter on Friday and he goes to the... Now people are starting to look at him like, did you move in? Should we welcome you? He's like, no. He's like, you need a place for Shabbos? No, I'm good, I'm looking. He's like, looks like the same people. Looking around, finding, is there somebody hidden? Somebody's going to rip off their shirt. I'm Eliyahu HaNavi. No, same thing. Davening finishes, the Shamer says, you need? He's like, no, I'm good. He walks out, he's really disappointed. He's like, what is going on here? The Baal Shem Tov told me to come. I did everything. I'm here again. I'm away from my family. Okay. He goes to that same house. He knocks on the door. The woman answers. He's like, no, I'm sorry. Again, it was supposed to be. So he's like, it's fine. Come in. Please. Make yourself comfortable. He goes back to the Baal Shem Tov and says, Rebbe, what? Next Shabbos. Okay. Next Friday he goes. The fruit guy is really happy that he's buying another fruit platter. And he goes and he takes the fruit platter and he goes to the town, and people are like, really? Did you move? You're here again? You have a place? He's looking, what? There's got to be somebody. Nobody looking. No. Nothing. He's like so upset. He goes out, the Shamash closes the door, he goes, starts walking to the house again. He's about to knock on the door and he hears from inside the woman talking to her kids. And the kid's screaming, Mommy, we're starving. We're going to have nothing to eat. What's going to be? And she says, children, don't worry. Maybe Eliyahu HaNavi will come again this Shabbos. Because we all could be Eliyahu HaNavi. We all could bring goodness and share and uplift. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was looking for. Not all of us are on the battlefield. Not all of us are supporting those, but we all could bring Geula in all the different venues that we find ourselves. Lifting up someone, raising their spirits, bringing a smile, Avas Yisrael. That also is being Eliyahu HaNavi. Yehi Ratzon, that we take back Av, that we recognize the schus it is to live in this generation with the challenges and with the pain, and feel for our fellow Jews, but recognize Am Yisrael Chai, recognize V'haya Hashem L'melech al kol haaretz, B'yom hu yiyeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad. It's going to happen, Be'ez Hashem, very soon. Kima, but we know what the end game is. We just got to hold on for the ride. Be'ez Hashem should bring the Geula. Be'ez Hashem, b'mheira v'yameinu.